The security level provided by SecuLution is extremely high based on our experience.
Today, we are visiting customers to see what they think about SecuLution. Well, I'd also like to ask you to briefly confirm on camera that we have made no prior arrangements regarding the content of this interview. All the statements you make now come solely from you. No script, no pre-spoken, please say this or present it that way. But you speak openly and honestly.
That's right. Apart from the time, nothing was arranged.
Very, very good. Exactly. So let's briefly introduce ourselves. Who I am will certainly become clear in the video. But if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself.
So, Stadtwerke Herford, we have approximately 160 to 170 permanent jobs. We have 5 to 6 external locations that we have connected via VPN, where some employees work, but also locations where nobody works, just technology is installed. For the 160 PC workstations, we have 160 PCs and then another 120 laptops in use. We also have 70 servers running in a virtual environment.
Number of specialized departments that make up the company?
We have 6 specialized departments, I would say.
Okay, so we're talking about the product we've offered you, which you've been using for a long time. We'll talk about how long in a moment. But let's start with the question. How secure do you think SecuLution application is? Can you really rely on it? What's your experience or feeling regarding the manufacturer's promises and what it ultimately delivers?
So, the security level provided by SecuLution is extremely high, based on our experience. And we have noticed in recent years that they have also refined it regarding macros and PowerShell and such. So from the beginning, even in the first years when infected emails arrived, we had good experiences where attachments were blocked. It wasn't the attachments themselves, but the execution of the corresponding macros that was blocked. So really, it's not just us. It has also been confirmed by the end tester. There are other manufacturers who have similar solutions. But we have had very good experiences with it. As my colleague said, sometimes they were looking for a lifeguard and applications came in. These applications were infected, so my colleague calls me. I can't open this. Sure, SecuLution did exactly what we expected and saved us.
Do you then feel that the manufacturer's promises and what it ultimately delivers diverge? Does it promise you the moon, and yet you still get something that somehow works? Or does it match up reasonably well?
It definitely matches.
Good. Well, I had noted down here that you mentioned having already had attacks that were repelled by SecuLution Application Whitelisting. You mentioned this example with the job application. What do you estimate? How often does SecuLution actually block something that you really don't want? It doesn't always have to be malware. It can also be other stuff that you think has no place in a business network.
Well, I would say there are times when we run specialized software that isn't caught by the TLDB. Colleagues will then call and say, I have an update from manufacturer XY and I need it now. And then we have to check and release it accordingly. Otherwise, we don't constantly monitor the log. So I could imagine, because I know that some people occasionally come with a USB stick and think they need to insert it. And you might see by chance that something is blocked.
So these TLDBs, these trust-level databases that SecuLution runs in the cloud, from which you retrieve these trustworthiness ratings for software. And since they were implemented, a significant amount of the work you previously had to do yourself has been offloaded to the cloud.
Yes.
And you were already a customer when it didn't exist yet. And this experience comes from that time.
Exactly.
Okay, perhaps the most important question. In the 11 years you've had the product, have you ever had an attack that wasn't blocked by the application?
No. Nothing. No. Definitely not.
Fantastic. How do you view the threat of ransomware for your company, considering your protection with SecuLution Application Whitelisting?
So, we generally feel very threatened, and therefore, I currently assume that if someone managed to get in, SecuLution would ensure that they don't get far. I'm not saying they wouldn't cause any damage, but they wouldn't get far.
Can you give a rough estimate of the number of hours per week you spend on maintaining SecuLution?
Currently?
Today?
I think within a week. With 2 hours.
How intuitive do you find the product to use? Because it's actually the opposite of what you used to do with virus scanners. It's the exact opposite approach.
We have our expert sitting in the middle here. I only got to know it here, and I have to say, the interface is well structured. It's clear where you can do what, and I quickly got the hang of the software. I also find the concept with the new PowerShell feature even better, because you can now proceed much more granularly, especially considering the new era where a lot is done with PowerShell. It's very good. Currently, the top feature for me is that I can now allow individual scripts with PowerShell and the new feature. That's the thing where I say it's super perfect.
Would you like to say anything else that you think should be heard?
So, I think overall, we have already mentioned everything we would want to say. It definitely helps us sleep much better at night. Knowing the software is keeping an eye on things, even when we're not looking.
Fantastic. What a nice final word. Then I won't take up any more of your time. That was very nice. Thank you very much. I'll just collect the equipment and then I'll be on my way.
All right, thank you very much.
Stadtwerke Herford.
Very good. Great appointment. I think we'll do this more often.